Welcome to my channel MS is Great. In this video you will learn how to use string function indexOf and lastIndexOf in the real use case scenario. You are watching the #MS is Great learning series for Power Automate. Let's start. In this video I am going to take the sample text of this and trying to find out get the value of the text within this range. So basically I'm going to strip out two sentences starting from at MS is great. So let's see how can we do taking a part of the string using the indexOf and the lastIndexOf function within the Power Automate. If you can see here, this whole text, this is the matrix with spaces. There are 193 characters within this text. So what I'm going to do is that in that 193 I'm going to use the indexOf functions to identify the index of this dot. With that index I'm going to use the last index of the same dot to identify this last dot position, then subtracting the last index of and the index of value gives me the total length of the string, and we are going to take the string from in, so probably I would add +2 characters so that the starting index of the string which I am going to extract will be from this character. Yeah, so quite a kind of calculation plus the manipulation is required. So let's start the Power Automate and see how we are doing it. Okay, so here is the Power Automate. I'm starting a new Power Automate which is manually triggered, so that we can test it out after creating it. So the first activity I'm going to add, the first action I'm going to add is about parse JSON, where we going to use our own input. As I mentioned you, our input is constant. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use this input. This is the sample input in a JSON format. The message one contains the character which I mentioned you before. Let me create the schema, and I would copy the same string here. So this is the fixed string which I'm passing it, and let's name it to get input. So this is the input which I'm passing in. So let me save this. So this would be the input. After saving it, this is the input. So next what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a variable to store the indexOf value. So let me create a variable, initialize a variable now, initialize a variable, and I'm going to call this variable as indexOf, and variable name is indexOf. It is going to be an integer because it returns an integer value of the specific text which you are searching within the full string. So I declare the index of integer, and I'm going to write a formula which is indexOf, and indexOf, go to dynamic, and this is the body message one. This is our text. So let me find, and I'm going to find the first dot which is the end of the character. So let's add it and save it again. Successfully saved. So it has an indexOf. So now I'm going to add one more variable, initialize variable. So in this I'm going to add, let me name this as start index, and here also start index, and I'm going to put it as integer. So this start index is the value which would be used to pass it to the substring. So basically we're going to use the substring to get all the characters which we need. So the start index is the first parameter we need to pass, so we're going to use this to get the value. So for this start index, we are going to add a formula. So the formula would be, there is a formula called add, and what does it takes? Two number. So the first number would be the previous variable, which is the index of, and I'm just going to add number 2. Why I'm adding number 2, I'll let you know later. So for now, you just assume that I'm adding a value of 2 to identify the starting index to get the value. So this is fine, and now we are good to go for the start index. And to get the string out of it, we need the length. So to find out the length, I'm going to use the lastIndexOf. So again, I'm going to initialize the variable. So the variable this time would be lastIndexOf, and for the lastIndexOf, this is again integer, and here again I'm going to declare a formula which is the lastIndexOf. So here the same dot, go to the dynamic content and use the body message because the input is the body message 1, and I select the message, comma, the same dot. So remember that we are going to search only the same dot, but based on the function it varies, so it gives the index value based on that. I'm going to store this index value in the lastIndexOf value, and I'm going to declare another variable to find out the length. So this time I'm going to say length needed. So this length is the one which would be used to get the value. So this is again integer. So how do you calculate the length? So how do you find the length? We should use subtract method. So it takes 2 parameters. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to subtract the lastIndexOf value, and the first index, which is the indexOf. So when you subtract the last index value, assume that it is 100 and then minus the first occurrence of the index, it gives you the remaining text to get the values. Later I show it in the exact value when it run. So for now, just assume that I'm going to subtract to get the length. So length is calculated here. That's it. Let's save it. Okay, successfully saved. So now comes the main part. I'm adding the compose method. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm adding a formula called substring of the original text. I want to get the value from the original text, which is the message 1. In that, it takes a start index. We already have a start index here, and the next parameter is the length. We already calculated the length, so length needed. That's it. Add. So now the compose method output would have the specific test, the 2 sentences which you want to take out from the whole string, and hopefully it would return the value. So now I'm going to post that value in the team so that it's easy for us to see the value. So let's see. So now I'm going to post the message in the chat or the channel. So select the post message. It can be anything, like I would just post it as a flow bar and post in which teams, maybe in the channel, and it will automatically pick up the channel. So I'm going to post it in the general. If you see, I have selected all the variables which you wanted, and now I'm going to just take the output from the compose. So when I take the output from the compose, it would post the value which is extracted from the string. So let's save this and try to test it out. So successfully has been saved. So now let's test this flow. So I'm going to run the flow now. So when it runs, it should post into the teams. So hopefully it would find out the text. Let me open up the Teams channel to see the posted message and see whether it has been posted. Okay, this is the Teams message which has been posted in the channel, and you can see here it has successfully extracted the string which we are looking for in this video. It starts from in this video until to the automate to the dot. So let's see how the Power Automate executed and got the value. Let's see now how the Power Automate is being executed. So this is the input value. You can see this is the whole string. I am trying to input the value, and first the index of, which is 32. I am trying to find out the dot which gives me the value of 32. So the first dot is 32, and I'm just adding +2 value. Why? Because I want to manipulate the start index so that the dot and the space being ignored. And I'm using the lastIndexOf, which gives me this the last dot occurs at 185 at the index, and I'm finding out the length needed, which is the lastIndex minus the indexOf, which gives me the number of characters to get from the string. And finally I'm applying the formula to get the value. So basically how it looks like is like it looks like here. For a clear explanation, so this is the whole string. If I use the indexOf, which gives me the value 32, so the 32 value is at the dot. I'm adding +2. Why? Because I'm going to use the start index to be this. So this will be my start index, and I calculate the start index +2, 32 +2, and I'm using the lastIndexOf, which is this one. The lastIndexOf is 185. So this is the formula I'm using. So the lastIndexOf gives me 185, and we need to subtract it from the indexOf, which is here, to find out the length. So to identify the length, what I'm doing is that lastIndexOf, which is 185 minus 32, which is here, which gives me 153 characters, and the 153 characters will be taken from I till to the dot, which is automate. So it takes only this value. So basically you can see here till here. Okay, so this is the value it takes in. So this is how the Power Automate works. You can use indexOf and the lastIndexOf to get the value within a substring. Hope this is useful to you. If you like it, subscribe and like the video. Thank you.